Hi, I'm Warren Sprouse, and you are on the Bible Forum. This is Sunday, April 8th, 2015. We're here every Sunday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. But you can also see the videos that we have accumulated on our YouTube page, on our Facebook page, on our webpage, thebibleforum.net. And from that point, you can get to anything we got. We'd love to hear from you. It used to be the media sought out news and then reported what they found. The point was that Americans needed to know and are quite capable of forming their own opinions. But today the media is intent on making news, feeding their supporters with philosophical ammunition with which to energize them for the fight. That's when stuff that's being provided doesn't square with reality. It's not an issue that bothers these people a whole lot. Let me give you an illustration. Press conferences. When the one answering questions is a liberal, the questions are what are called softballs, meaning they're setups that allow the one being questioned to preach their liberal ideals. When a conservative is questioned, they're given what is called loaded questions, which have no answer the media will accept, and which offers them the opportunity to follow up any stream they want with their own opinion, their own philosophy, their own bias. And you see it all the time. When these press conferences are reported, either in print or in visual media, they are carefully edited. And if that's not possible, the reporter is careful to offer his or her opinion as to what was said to make sure that average America would know that the conservative view is wrong and that the liberal wing knows that it's wrong. And it also has a better plan. This is why watching Sarah Huckabee Sanders at work is so entertaining. I would pay money to be in a press conference in Washington when she's standing in front. The woman has a mind like a steel trap. The woman is not intimidated by any man, any person. The woman can cut to the heart of an issue faster than the questioners can respond. And she routinely embarrasses the liberal bias for what it is. In short, she is the pride of her father, her husband, her children, and Americans everywhere. Her natural personality is on display. Her mental acumen is amazing. And her opinions are clearly known. And they do appear to be firmly held. Did you know there are many women in America and around the world who are very much like Sarah Sanders? Maybe not as verbally dynamic, maybe not as quick with an answer, maybe not as well informed on political, governmental, international issues. But Sarah has a staff. Your wife, your daughter, your mother doesn't. And these women in places all over this country are just as engaged, they're just as aware, and they're just as opinionated. They live their lives in relative obscurity, taking care of business. They often do not share their opinions, especially with dominant men, husbands, fathers, employers, employees. And it's not because they are weak-minded or because they've been cowed into submission. It's largely because they don't see the need to do so. Women know that men love to argue. They like to fight. They like to complain. And women are not going to be drawn into what they view as useless discussions, except for sport once in a while. They have every opportunity to watch what goes on, what the dynamic is, and to realize that there's nothing here very profitable. And they realize that being sucked into some of these conversations, it really doesn't matter what their position is or what their understanding is. It's all going to turn around and most likely be an attack against her. Oh yeah, that's what men do. When they can't win the argument, they go after the arguer, and they're not nice. They want to win. It's built into the DNA. Now there are exceptions, like me. Not as often as I would like. But there are not as many exceptions either as we would like to think. The men who are the exceptions often appear to be weak or unconcerned or just simply oriented toward things that are more important in their view, like family, education, health, budgets, work, house repairs, social stability, and so forth. These are men women naturally gravitate toward. How does a 24-hour news cycle make our life more meaningful? The answer is, it doesn't. Now, I truly enjoy having news all the time whenever I want it. And I see my fair share in 4 or 5 different venues and opportunities. But I also realize that without it, I would not be completely uninformed. I would still know that God is on the throne. I would still know that God is still at work in the affairs of men and governments. I would still know that God is working His will according to His purposes. And you and your petty government and your military and all the rest of it can do whatever you want. But God is still at work, and He's the boss. I would even know what they are, globally, nationally, personally. I would still be prepared in areas that are essential, knowing what God is doing. I would still be able to discuss political and global affairs. I would perhaps not know the details, but then the details change, usually about every 24 hours. That's our news cycle now. A cycle which is rapidly becoming hourly. Difficult to keep up with unless you listen to or watch the news all the time. Which is what all this is about. News is business. News is show business. News is entertainment. News is addictive. The more you watch or listen to the news, the more revenue the broadcasters get. You're the commodity if you allow yourself to be that. And the more you watch it, the more you watch it. Most of what they tell you does not impact your life at all. It might ultimately, but it's going to morph and change and be adjusted and altered 85 times before it becomes a final product. And you do know the news people are out there making suggestions as to what this might be, or what this person is really about, or what they said and how it impacts and where it's going. They don't know. And that's why our president is such a problem for them. He often thinks out loud. And then when he comes back around, it's moderated by fact. You say, well, why can't he just keep his mouth? He wants to know. And he's pushing buttons. And you're feeding him information. He doesn't have to go look for it. You're coming at him to give it to him, to balance out what he just said. That's so stupid. And when it all sifts down, it's a pretty good plan, at least so far. Be careful when you look at women and think they're all dumb blondes. Most of them aren't. Their only failure is they've married men. Of course, they didn't have much choice. But we're giving them that now, aren't we? I know.